Welcome to our first show entitled Pet Matters. My name is Dorothy Claeys, and I'm the Executive Director at Francisville Home for Smaller Animals, right here in Radnor, Pennsylvania. Francisville is over a 110-year-old, no-kill, nonprofit shelter. What we do there is we take in abandoned, unwanted, and abused animals. We give them shelter, we give them food, we give them medical care, and then we look for permanent homes for them to live in. What I hope we'll do with this show is, on a monthly basis, bring into your home some information that is very educational, entertaining, and can be fun. Today I am joined by two of our staff. One is Angela Duncan. She's one of our animal caretakers at Francisville, and the other guest is Cara Leahy, and she is the development assistant at Francisville. Thank you both for joining me today. It's a pleasure to have you.
Thanks for having us.
So Angela, let's start with you. In your job as an animal caretaker, how many animals do you tend to on a daily basis?
Francisville's carrying capacity is 25 dogs and 40 cats at any given moment. But with all of our adoptions and our surrenders, that number is constantly fluctuating. So on average, I take care of about 35 animals altogether.
Okay. And what, in a typical environment as Francisville, how do the animals live there? Are they in cages? Do they run around? What exactly do they do?
Our cats live communally. They are not caged at all. So they have access to shelving, to toys, to water whenever they want. They even have catios on nice days during the summer where they can go outside and enjoy the weather. Our dogs, they have individual runs, so they have an inside portion and an outdoor portion. The outdoor portion is a lot longer, so they have room to run around. And we actually have outdoor yards where they can go out and play and interact with volunteers and staff members and get a lot of exercise and enrichment.
Okay. Now, I know that Francisville has a pretty large cemetery, and although it's on about 12 acres, I realize that the terrain there could be a little difficult. Can you tell me a little bit about what a volunteer might encounter if they come to Francisville?
Well, there are a lot of hills and there are gravestones, but most of them are pretty easy to see, but it's very traversable. You just got to be careful. But yeah, it's a lot of ground to walk on and really interesting and very pleasant for both the animals and for the volunteers.
That's great. So now I think maybe some of our viewers might be thinking, well, I'd like to be an animal caretaker. I mean, we all want to be with animals. So can you take us through what a typical day would be like with your duties?
Absolutely. First thing in the morning, we feed all of our animals and give medication to those who need it. And once they are all fed, we collect the bowls, and then we do a thorough inside and outside cleaning. So for example, I'm mostly in the kennels. I do go to the cat rooms as well, but my duties are mostly the kennels. So once they're done eating, we let them outside. We do a complete scrub of the inside, all the individual runs. We dry it off, we let the dogs back inside, and then we scoop and sanitize and clean out the outside runs as well. And for the cat rooms, it's very similar. You feed them, you collect the bowls, and then you scoop the litter boxes, you change the bedding, you sweep, Swiffer, mop the floors, fresh water, stuff such as that.
So it's not just coming there and working and saying, oh, I'm going to spend my days with animals and pet them all day.
Absolutely not. It is a lot of physical work, a lot of manual labor. It is very rewarding, though. So once you get everyone all fed and cleaned, you are doing laundry constantly, you're restocking the food, restocking the bedding, sorting through donations, cleaning the outside, just general maintenance. So you're constantly moving.
Now, can you talk about a little bit about where Francisville gets its cats and dogs?
We get our animals from many sources. One of our biggest sources is we will transfer animals from other shelters when they have an overflow or they have very bad medical cases. We will take those cases. We have a lot of owner surrenders if they can no longer care for their animal for whatever reason, and a lot of people actually find animals on the streets, and Good Samaritans will bring them to us where we can take care of them.
That's wonderful. What do you do with strays?
For the strays, we try to get as much information as possible. If the people who found these strays know anything about the animals, if we have no information whatsoever, regardless, we take them to the vet. We have them vaccinated. We have them spayed or neutered if they need it. Any medical issues taken care of. Microchipped if they don't have one. Dewormed, treated for fleas, everything that you can think of.
Okay. What would you say is the most enjoyable part of your job?
Oh gosh, it's caring for the animals until they find their home and then seeing them go to their forever home. It is so rewarding, and just to watch those animals who you've known for, whether it be a week, whether it be years, just like watching them develop and then seeing them leave.
And do you get attached to them?
Oh, of course, every day, every single one of them. So it's like it's watching your own pet leave sometimes, so it can be very touching, but in the end, you're so thrilled for them.
Right. So now, Cara, I also understand you do some of the caretaking too.
I do.
So what part of that do you do?
Well, at Francisville, we are such a small shelter, everyone does everything. So I help in the mornings with feedings and the cleanings. Occasionally I'll fill in randomly throughout the day trying to do the maintenance when I have time during the day as well. And just generally making sure that the animals are always cared for as well as everyone else that's there.
Mm-hmm. So now, do you have a favorite adoption story that sticks out in your mind?
Oh gosh, I think what we have affectionately named the Fab Four. Mm-hmm. We have had these 4 senior cats who have lived at Francisville way beyond my working there. Bucky, Sophia, Achilles, and Willow. They were all... Sophia was 9, Achilles was 8, Bucky was 16, and Willow was 12 or 13, I believe. They have been there for all their lives, and these angels, I swear, came and were like, which cats have lived here the longest? And we showed them, and we're like, this one's been here for this long, this one has this problem, this one is da-da-da-da-da, and they're like, we'll take all of them. And they all went home together, and they're doing wonderful, and it was just like the most touching thing I could think of.
Yeah, it sounds like a wonderful story. Now, when you're adopting out animals, is there a restriction on the areas that we adopt to, or can anybody from anywhere apply for a dog or cat?
We have several dogs that went to this one family out in Montana, so we have applications from all over the country. A lot of people are local, but we had these dogs who I did not have the pleasure of knowing. This was before my time, Bowie and Tilly. These people drove all the way from Montana just to adopt them, and then drove them back, stayed at pet-friendly hotels, and then they actually returned for another Chihuahua several years later.
Oh, that's pretty amazing. Well. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so Francisville will adopt to anyone if they're willing to come the distance.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Cara, can you tell us a little bit about the adoption process? If somebody out there is thinking, well, I'm in the market, I think I might want a cat or a dog, what would they do, the first steps?
So Francisville has a very special adoption process. And the first step would be to go to our website, and you want to fill out an application. Answer it with as thoroughly as possible, and then one of our adoption counselors will call, and they'll go over what we call an adoption counseling worksheet. And that's where we find out a lot of details about what you're looking for, so we can best match that animal to your needs. And then after that, you could set up an appointment to come in if you're approved.
Okay. And do you find that there's more people inquiring that already have animals, or do you find that the majority of them are looking for their first animal?
I think it's both ways. We have a lot of people that are well experienced with animals, and a lot of people that apply that it's going to be their first pet. Mm-hmm. And we always just try and best match their needs and their experiences with the animals that we have.
So if I'm applying and I do have a dog and I'm looking for another dog, would that be a special situation? What would I have to do?
So one of the requirements we have if you own a dog already is after you come and meet the dog and you decide that you want to bring him home, you'd ask that you bring your dog to Francisville to meet the dog too. So we want to make sure the dogs will get along as well.
Okay, that's great. So can you tell us the address for the website?
Yes, it is www.francisvalehome.org.
Okay, now I understand that you actually adopted a dog from Francisville. And that was your second pet?
That was my second dog, yes.
Okay. So, Cara has 2 dogs. Angela, you have
2 cats.
2 cats. But you love them all.
Of course.
Okay, so now we're going to switch topics a little, and we're going to talk about fundraising, which is, one of the hardest things to do in this day and age. And it's not only hard, but it's a constant. So, Francisville has a largest annual fundraiser called the HAIRBALL every year. And they've been doing this for maybe 10 to 15 years. So what we do is we like to talk about, how maybe you could help. It's coming up soon. So our HAIRBALL is going to be scheduled for October 19th this year, and it's at Aronimink Golf Club. But Cara, I know that you've had a big role in this planning this HAIRBALL. So tell us from the beginning, how do we decide the name, and what is the name for this year's HAIRBALL?
So this year's HAIRBALL is Harry Potter and the Forever Home. And so each year, starting right in the beginning of the year, we send out to all of our mailing lists an idea of submit ideas of what you would like to name the HAIRBALL this year. And we get hundreds of responses of what people think that the HAIRBALL should be named. And we vote on a winner. And that winner will receive tickets to the HAIRBALL.
Okay, and then I've seen the invitations, and it appears that somebody likes to put animal heads on people's bodies. Is that true?
It is true.
Okay, and I saw this year's, and it's absolutely adorable. So now we have your theme. So now where do you go from there?
Well, the HAIRBALL itself is a big dinner, open bar, live music, and we have a live auction and a silent auction. So the next steps is our committee members get together, and the committee is comprised of board members, staff, and volunteers. And we all get together and we start planning. We start going around to local businesses and local patrons of the community to try and get donations of items. We also solicit for sponsors, so local people, local businesses will do a sponsorship that helps fund the HAIRBALL and the general running of the shelter as well. And all the sponsors get tickets to the HAIRBALL. How many tickets they get depends on the level of sponsorship. And they also then get an acknowledgement on our invitations and at the HAIRBALL. So for the majority since the beginning of the year right up to the HAIRBALL, a big task of it is just finding items to put in our auctions to get donations and sponsorships, and we make the baskets ourselves for the silent auction as well. So that is a large chunk of our time, is putting all the items together and displaying them nicely for the silent auction.
So how many baskets do you generally make for the year?
We try and make about 120 baskets.
Wow, that's a lot. Yeah.
It's a lot of work.
That's a lot of ideas. That's a lot of certificates.
Yes, it's a lot of items.
Yeah. So can anybody help out with that task? I mean, is it just generally just for the staff and board, or is it?
We do have volunteers that come, and a lot of our volunteers out on the HAIRBALL, some of them are volunteers at the shelter, but some of them just come to volunteer just for our events and committees, which includes the HAIRBALL committee.
Okay. Now, if I were going to go to the HAIRBALL, when I go in, what would I see? I guess when I would enter into the room.
Yeah. So when you enter, you're going to be entering to where we hold our silent auction first, and that's when we start, where we have a great mobile bidding process. So you would sign in, you would get your name tag, you would meet a couple people, then you would start bidding on the items and what you would like for the silent auction. Once that is done, then we go into the next room where we have our sit-down dinner. We do our live auction. We have the live band playing there, and people are getting up and dancing to the end of the night.
Sounds like a great event. So I know now we can take a little step back. Now that's our biggest fundraiser, and that entails a lot of work, a lot of people, a lot of manpower. What other kind of events do you hold during the course of the year that raise money for Francisville?
So we are holding events every month of the year, whether they're bigger events like the HAIRBALL or smaller events, just going to local businesses, going to local restaurants, excuse me, and holding to fundraiser where we'll get a percentage of the proceeds from that event. So this year, for example, in the spring, we did a great event with the restaurant Conshohocken called the Lucky Dog Gastropub, and they did a great fundraiser for us for all month long. They had specialty drinks, a portion of the specialty drinks came to Francisvale. People could buy little paw prints and put their name on it that they hung all around the restaurant. And then the day of the event itself, we went in and we got a percentage of the total proceeds from that night. And a lot of restaurants and businesses will work with us so where we could get a percentage of proceeds from people that attend that night, from people that attend that day within specific hours, or if you are on a mailing list, you can bring a flyer in to the restaurant. We get a percentage of your total bill.
So if a restaurant or a business is out there thinking, oh, I would like to do something like that, they would just need to contact you.
Absolutely.
Okay. So with regard to the items that people, want to see at the HAIRBALL, what do you think is the most popular type of item? So if someone's out there thinking, well, maybe, I don't need this anymore, maybe I could donate an article or a gift certificate or, a vacation home would be really nice. But if they could donate something, what is typically the best sellers?
So in our silent auction, some of the best sellers are definitely gift certificates. But we've had instances where people are just cleaning out their homes, getting ready to move, and have donated home items, and people have loved that. On top of that, we also always love vacation homes. They're big ticket sellers. And an experience. We have hot air balloon rides. We have be an astronaut for the day, biplane rides, going on a wine tasting or wine making are really big ticket items.
Wow, they sound like good things. Yeah. So I know it's getting close, and I know that it's only about 6 weeks away, if my calculations are correct. So is there still time for people to donate something?
Absolutely. We are making up baskets right until the day of the event.
Okay.
So absolutely.
Absolutely. Now, Angela, I know that you've been to several HAIRBALLs.
Yes.
What's your impression of the HAIRBALL? What did you enjoy most about it?
It was just so lively. The music was fantastic. Just people seemed to be having an overall good time. The food was great. I mean, the items were fun. I even, as I was working, I was bidding on items myself. You can actually bid while you're working or volunteering, which is great. It was just a lot of fun. It was beautifully decorated when I went. I went to one that was Paw Trek, the next adoption. That was 2 years ago, I believe, and everything was just so cute and well decorated, and it fit the theme perfectly.
Yeah. So, Cara, so in addition to this huge job of planning the HAIRBALL and the other events, what are some of the other things that you do at Francisville?
So some of the other things I do, obviously, are taking care of the animals. That's always the main priority at Francisville at the end of the day, is giving the best possible care and love to these animals that we can while they're with us. And that does take up a good portion of my time. I have also, like you said, I help plan the HAIRBALL and the little events that we do throughout the year, and generally help to take in the donations that we have that help get Francisville going every day.
Right. Now, Francisville has a website.
It does.
And they also have a Facebook page.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit more about the Facebook page.
So I help to run the Facebook page a little bit, do a lot of the posts that we do there. We feature dog of the week and a cat of the week every week at Francisville. So if you follow our Facebook, we'll post pictures and videos of one of the dogs and one of the cats of our shelter that you can follow along with. We'll also publicize an event that we have coming up there, or any general news that Francisville has.
Okay. And I would assume that all of the animals are posted on the website.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, Angela, I know that you also do a lot of work with volunteers.
Yes.
So if someone's out there thinking, this is a great place, I have some extra time, I might want to try and volunteer. What would be the process for them to do that?
We have a monthly volunteer orientation. It's usually the third Sunday of the month from 1 to 3. And what they would do is they would call. We would take down their name, phone number, and email address and put them on a list and schedule them with that upcoming volunteer orientation. Once they have gone through the orientation, they will either train with myself or with Cara, depending on whether they want to do dog volunteering, cat volunteering, or even both. Some people do both. and we'll do training sessions with them, tell them a little bit about like the proper procedures, whether they're cat volunteers, they can either come and clean in the morning, which is always a huge help to us, or they can come and socialize in the afternoon, just play with them, give them that attention, that love, or if they're dog volunteers, they come and they walk the dog, so we'll tell them like the proper way to interact with the dogs, anything about the dogs that they might need to know, any sort of like personality trait, because every dog has their own personality, every cat has their own personality, so we like to give them a thorough training, and then we let them walk the dogs or clean the cat rooms or play with the cats, whatever they want to do.
Sounds like a lot of fun.
It is a lot of fun.
and so rewarding.
It really is.
So for our viewers, I mean, people think, well, you know, how would I prepare to have a job like this, or you know, what is it that your background entails? But I know a lot of people also change careers. So why don't you, Angela, you go first. Tell our viewers what you did before coming to Francisville.
I initially went to school for wildlife science. I got my bachelor's degree. I've always wanted to work with animals. It didn't really matter, big, small, wild, domestic. So I've done a lot of bird surveys for a couple summers. I've volunteered at a nature museum for a bit. I worked at a vet for a string of months. I've had a lot of different experiences, either in an indoor environment and even an outdoor environment. So I have a lot of nature background, I have a lot of wild animal background, but I also have pets of my own. I've always had pets growing up, so I came to Francisville with a lot of different animal experience, but it definitely prepared me for full-time shelter care.
Okay, and how about you, Cara?
So I actually started as a social worker. Very little animal experience outside of owning my only one dog at that time, and the dogs I had growing up. And I always worked in nonprofits. I was always an avid animal lover, but never had much experience until I came into Francisville and quickly learned a lot.
Now, do you like this better than social work?
I mean, of course, you get a very rewarding experience with the animals every day, and they always offer you a lot of love.
Well, I hear there's a great benefit to working at Francisville, and what I understand is that it's as much pet therapy as you can take.
It really is.
I think they help us as much as we help them.
I agree with that.
That's one benefit you're not going to find in many jobs.
Yes.
So if I can just reiterate, we have the HAIRBALL coming up, and the date is October 19th. If you're interested in donating an item for our auction, we're happy to take it. If you are interested in a sponsorship, it's not too late. And thirdly, if you'd like to get tickets just to attend, they'll be available up to the day of the event. So what you would do, Cara, how did they go about getting any of those things?
So you could contact us either through email or phone. If you want to give us a call, it's 610-688-1018, or you can send an email to executivedirector@francisvilehome.org.
And can you please give our viewers the name of our Facebook page?
It is facebook.com/Francisville.
Okay, and our website?
www.francisvilehome.org.
You passed the test. Okay. So that is going to wrap it up for today. I want to thank again my two guests, Cara and Angela.
Thank you so much.
And join us next time on Pet Matters.